Hello and welcome. In today's exciting episode, I will be making this adorable jacket. It's made out of a silver tweed that has ribbon flags on it, and I have beaded it, embellished all over. And about halfway through this episode, I decide that I also desperately need to bead this beige tweed and this one that is now covered in red and hot pink beads. But this is the only one that I make from beginning to end. So let us begin. So I've cut out all the pieces. I've got the tweed, the backing fabric, which is the net, and the colourful silk, which will be the lining. I set aside the silk for the time being and laid out the backing pieces and put the tweed pieces on top. Then pinned everything together, ready to sew all the pieces together. The arms and the torso of the jacket are all pinned. Time to sew them. Oh, this fabric is so cute. Okay, so I sewed together all the seams, and once they were done, I pinned together the top of the back and the front and sewed those together on each side. I also did the sleeves. Now it's time to pin down all the seam allowance and hand sew that. So on both sleeves and the torso of the jacket. So I will do that now. So I finished stitching down the seam allowances on all the panels. Now it is time to just stitch the backing fabric to the actual tweed. And this tweed, as gorgeous as it is, I absolutely love the silver and the flags, but basically anytime you look at it, it starts splitting because it's such a loose weave and such difficult yarns. So yeah, I have to be very careful with this one, but I mean, it's going to look absolutely gorgeous once it's done. So yes, I am very carefully hand stitching the backing to the tweeds for all the panels and on the sleeves as well. So I shall continue. Okay, I have attached the backing to the tweed on all the panels of the torso of the jacket and the sleeves. So I've turned the sleeves out the right way. Next, I did the hem on the body of the jacket and also the cuffs and hand stitched them down, making sure the sleeves are the exact same length. And now it is time to set the sleeves. There we go, they're pinned. I don't normally complain about setting sleeves because I mean everyone does, and who needs to hear more of that. But this fabric is an absolute nightmare to work with. It's completely beautiful and it's going to be gorgeous when it's done. But yeah, if you hate working with velvet, then this has similar shedding properties. So you have been warned. And then I had to set aside the jacket because I had to film the What's Happening in April video. And then after I did that one, it was time to make this gorgeous jacket. And yeah, once I'd made this, I became absolutely obsessed with beading because I love how this one turned out so much. It's just fabulous and it just looks so good. I love how it's got just as much beading as the ones with the beaded trim, whereas they, I don't know, they kind of look quite fancy and attention attracting, whereas this, I don't know, it kind of, if you just sort of look at it in passing, it's sort of very casual and it looks sort of like a blinged up denim jacket almost. And yeah, I love how you can get just as much, like this tweed costs just as much as any other tweed. and well, not quite as much as the Chanel tweed, but it's not cheap, and it's got silk lining, and it's got just as many beads as any other one, so it's just as expensive, and it takes an extreme amount of time to make, so it's just as expensive as these in materials and time. And you know, you have to have just as an advanced technique. So yeah, I love that it can sort of pass as casual, even though it's, you know, just as much of an investment as any of the other ones. So I like that about it. And of course, as soon as I made this, I was like, okay, how many more beads can I put on a jacket before it, you know, crumbles under the weight of all that beading? So yeah, now it was time to get back to the silver one. Of course, I wanted to just add excessive amounts of beading to it, but when I made this one, I used 3 layers of backing, and as you've just seen in the silver one, I only used 1 layer. So yeah, on this jacket I was able to use pretty much any beading, any type of bead that I wanted. So well, those ones there, those sort of squarish ones, are plastic, but pretty much everything else is a really heavy glass bead. So yeah, I decided that on the silver one, what I'll do is just not sew the arms on, unpin those, and yeah, I'll do some beading, but I'll have to use plastic beads. So this is the fabric. So silver, aqua green, yellow or yellowish green, and maybe some blue. So here we have, I've just thrown down a mixture. Oops, we'll just, there. So we've got some little, a lot of these are kids beads that I bought from craft stores. But I've also got these tiny little glass pineapples. They are glass, but they're so small. I'm pretty sure the weight of them will be fine. I also have some small yellow-green beads, and the rest are all plastic. So yeah, I should be able to use the same coverage, so what looks like the same amount of beading, but yeah, it's just going to end up being a lot lighter, and therefore it won't be such a strain on the jacket, which only has 1 layer of backing. And I've also got some bigger ones, but I don't think they'll be suitable. I think I'll just sort of stick to the smallish medium ones on this. And I've also got these, they sort of remind me of hard-boiled candies, and I really have no other place to use them, so I thought they'd be good in this. So yeah, I think I'll just do some all-over beading on the jacket using these beads. And here is the jacket with the beading done. It's just so cute. This is adorable. I mean, I do feel like it would have looked better if it had heavier beads on it, but I mean, you can't really, short of unpicking the jacket and adding 2 more layers of backing to each panel, and you can't really do that because this particular tweed loves to fray. So yeah, this was kind of the only way I was going to get embellishment type beading. But yeah, I'm really happy with it. I was a little worried because I just do stitch them on by eye. I don't measure them out or anything. And I was a bit worried that it would look messy, or, you know, I wouldn't mix the beads well enough and it would look funny. But I like that it's done naturally and not measured out. I think it makes it look more handmade. Yeah, I'm really happy with this. But now I kind of want to experiment, and I have 2 other jackets that are half made as well. So I think we will see what else? What other sort of beading we can do? They've also, unfortunately, both only got one layer of backing, and I'm not going to pull them apart and put 2 more layers of backing on them. So yeah, I'm going to have to do experiments in light beading, but the ones that don't weigh too much. So yeah, let's see how that goes. First up, we have this embellished tweed that mixes gold and, well, a whitish gold and cream and sort of khaki army green color with Sonia red and pink. Absolutely love this tweed. It's so pretty. And if you saw the video where I made the blue and pink and bubblegum pink beaded jacket, you'll know that the glass beads on this one sort of remind me of the those bleeding mushrooms that have sort of red sap sort of stuff oozing out of them. So because this is that pinkish, pale pinkish color from far away, I kind of do want to put hot pink and red beads on this. But I'm also trying to make some jackets that are a little bit more grown up. So I think what we'll do is use, these are glass beads, but they're quite small. I mean, they're large, on the large side for a seed bead, but they're quite small, so they won't be too heavy. And yeah, try and make it look a bit more refined and adultish. We'll see how that goes. Okay, I've done one sleeve, almost all of one sleeve, and I mean, it is pretty, but it's a little too subtle. I want beading to be slightly more obvious than this. Yeah. And also I really love that it has bright red and pink in there. I think I really want to play off those, because this is what it looks like by itself. I mean, it already has those little sequin in it. So, I mean, I feel like it wants to be fabulous. And I feel like this, I mean, it does sparkle a little bit when you move it. It is quite bling, but I don't know, it's managing to be bling in a very, very boring way. And there's nothing wrong with but yeah, it's just not what I want for this jacket. So I think we will undo this and try again with brighter beads. Actually, I have one more jacket that I could maybe do beading on, so I might just set this aside for a moment and work on the other jacket, then come back and decide whether to pull it apart and start again. Next up, we have the Baby Yoda tweed. I know it has blue and white in there as well, but I bought this because I love the beige and the mint green. So let's see what beads we can find to go with this. I have all these absolutely adorable green, they're sort of small glass mostly. There's also a few plastic different flowers in there. And some hearts. I think these are really beautiful. And they are, as I said, a lot of them are glass or stone. Oh, I also have some angelfish. But because they're so small, I think the jacket will be able to carry the weight of them. I also have some sort of glass beads that look like they are jade. So yeah, I think I will stitch on a mix of these beads. Okay, this is completely adorable. These are so cute. I also added some of these jade jelly bean looking ones. Yeah, I do think this would have looked a lot better if there was a bit more weight on it. So yeah, so that's what it would have looked like with no beading on it, which is nice, I guess, if that's what you want, but it's not what I want. And this is what it looks like with the beading on. So cute. It's also on the back as well. That is completely adorable. I kind of want to, because I still have quite a lot of these beads left, because I got a bit excited and made a beaded mix that was like twice as much as I needed. So I think I will go ahead and finish this. And then, if I still have far too many beads left, I might see what it looks like if I just double the amount of beads, because you could easily fit another row of beads in between the rows that are there. But on the other hand, I mean, the reason you use a tweed to make a jacket is that you want to be able to see the tweed. So it's a fine line between showcasing a tweed and completely drowning it out. So I don't know. I'll just finish it all first and go from there, I guess. But in the meantime, I have got out some beads for the other jacket. Okay, so we have some skulls, which are solid but not very heavy. Also some smaller glass beads and some plastic ones. Let's see how these all look together. Okay, it's possible I've gone a little overboard, but these look awesome together. They just look so cool. Okay, let us begin. Okay, this looks completely awesome. I also added, as I was going through the pink bin, I also found these fluoro red Sonia plastic beads and sequin. So I decided to include a few of those. They look incredibly out of place, but I don't care. I think it's awesome. So yeah, I shall continue with the beading. I have now done about one side of the front and about half of the back. And I still really love this. I get that it's not everyone's cup of tea, but the thing I fell in love with about this tweed was the mix of reds and that sort of orangey red Sonia colour and the pinks. And I feel like this beading just brings out everything I love about this tweed. So yeah, I'm really happy with it. I shall continue. And I've sort of finally got the knack, well, touch wood, I feel like I've finally got the knack of working with a half-made jacket and just being careful enough that that it doesn't fray anymore, but also, you know, being precise enough so that you can't see the thread so much, but it's still nice and clean on the inside. This is what it looks on the inside, what it looks like on the inside. So yeah, I'm really quite happy with it. I shall continue with the beading. It is finally done and it looks absolutely gorgeous. I also finished the Baby Yoda one, and also I think it looks adorable. But then on this side I started doing the double, so just basically doing another row in between the two existing, each of the two existing ones, and I think that looks so much better. And it also, in a weird way, it evens out the weight of the beading. So I'm going to continue doing that all the way around. And I think I'm going to do it to the other jacket as well, perhaps even the other two. I feel like I don't really have a choice with this one because the beading on this side, I sort of used, that was the first bit I did. So I just cherry picked the larger beads, both the light plastic ones and the sort of glass ones. Whereas this side, it's got, some of the beads are smaller, but I've also used ones that are transparent. So yeah, from far away it does look quite like the balance is out, sort of, a bit at least. So yeah, I think filling in, just doing the same amount of beading again, but I'll use smaller ones on this side and larger, less transparent beads when filling this side. So I think, yeah, I think I'll do that for this one. But yeah, it does really, at the moment, it very much reminds me of those bleeding mushrooms, and it's very cool. I guess that impression will be lost when I add more beads and it just sort of looks like all over bling. But yeah, I'm happy to keep going even more over the top with this one. And then there is this one. I'm not sure about whether to double down on the beading for this one because I like how it sort of looks like a grass meadow filled with wildflowers. I think the flags, the ribbon flags, sort of look like grass, and well, some of them are actual flowers, but the colourful ones look like little wildflowers, in my opinion, and I love that impression. So, but I also think if I add another row in between each row, that it'll sort of, I don't know, it just looks so much more balanced in the Baby Yoda one now that I've added more rows. And I remember when I was working on the bubblegum one, the same thing, I kind of had the same impression that before I added the second set of beading, it just sort of seemed like it didn't quite have enough. So, I mean, I really love this one the way it is, but I don't know, based on the impression I get from all the other beading I'm doing, I just think I will probably love it even more if I add the same amount of beading again. The one thing I'm concerned about though is whether I add these sort of clear candy, hard candy shaped ones, if I double the amount of beading. I think the amount of these that I have on the jacket at the moment is awesome, but if I add more, I think that would just look a bit cheap and too, because they are quite a bit larger than any of the other beads. So yeah, I think I won't put any more of those in, but I will add the same amount of beads again, just in the sort of yellowy green, the blue, the aqua, and the light green. I think I'll do the other two first and then revisit my feelings on on this jacket, because this one I really don't want to get wrong, because I just know how much I love this tweed and how much I will want to wear it, like just casually going down the street and things. So yeah, I really want to get this one right. I mean, I want to get all of them right, but I just know there's certain tweeds that I just know they will be on high rotation, so I really want to get it right. Yeah, so I'll get back to the Baby Yoda one now. The second lot of beading is slowly progressing. I've done this half of the back now, and I'm sort of making my way across the back. So I shall continue. Still loving it. Absolutely adoring this. It's so pretty. But yeah, I do think I'm going to be very boring when I wear this, because I'm just going to be looking down and looking at my favorite beads. I love the angelfish, but I also think the little other kids ones, like the cubes with the letters on them, are very cute, and all the different flowers. There's some roses, some daisies, and yeah, the jade ones are all beautiful, and the cut glass ones, oh, I just think they are so pretty. But I also love the pearls. I think they're quite perky and cheerful. Yeah, so I shall continue. I have finished beading the Baby Yoda jacket. Well, I mean, obviously the collar still needs to be done, but the lining has to be attached first. And yeah, I think this one's really sweet. I really like the mix of beads in this one. And yeah, all in all, very cute. This one is probably the one that looks most like that Chanel jacket with all the brooches. This is the Chanel jacket. It was ready to wear from a year or two ago, and it's $25,000, and ugh, not paying that for a jacket. But I do like the general look. I thought I would do this one, and I started on the one sleeve, and oh my gosh, this is just absolutely a ridiculous amount of beading. I know that, but I kind of like it. But it's also extremely heavy, so I'm not sure. Hang on a sec. Oh, there we go. You can see the two beside each other. This is definitely my preference. I think it looks gorgeous, but it is very, very heavy and over beaded. It's like those flapper dresses where they the underdress is made out of silk, and then they have an overdress, which is sort of like a pinafore of tulle, and then it's just really, really heavily beaded. I think V&A, the Victoria and Albert Museum in London, did one of their, they have a YouTube channel, and one of their conservation videos was on them trying to get this over beaded, really, really heavily beaded flapper dress into a condition where they could actually take it out of its archive box and it would be strong enough to stand on a mannequin. So yeah, that's why with the that one there, the bubblegum blue, I made sure that I had 3 layers of backing, whereas this only has 1 layer of netting on the back. And yeah, it's really not strong enough for that amount of beading, but I've fallen in love with it. So I don't know, I'll put this jacket aside and work on the third one and then come back to it. But I do suspect that I will be over beading the entire thing, just because I love the end product. But yeah, it will have to live in an archive box in a cloud of very carefully scrunched acid-free tissue paper. Oops, sorry about that. But yeah, okay, next jacket. Yes, the extra layer of beading on this one is looking adorable. Well, you can't really see. Okay, the sleeve shows you how much the first layer of beading is. I mean, it's nice, but this is what I want. One of those overgrown end of summer cottage gardens where everything's just sort of flopping and in full bloom and just going everywhere, and the grass is overgrown too. That's the look I'm going for. So I'm really, really happy with this. I shall continue. I am a little bit cheesed off that I used the fluoro, the thicker, I'm using the Gutterman Mara thread, the thicker thread on this one, and then on the other two I changed to just the standard polyester thread. And this thread is good for extra large and large beads when you're doing a beaded trim. And you bet, yeah, I think the standard thread is probably better for medium and small beads, in my opinion, but do whatever you want. So yeah, I'm really happy with the way this one's working out. Again, the sleeve holes and the ends of the sleeves are sort of, as careful as I am being, they are still fraying like anything. So I'm really happy with the way the Baby Yoda one turned out. It is sort of difficult, well, of course it's difficult to bead when the sleeves have already been sewn on, but it's not impossible. So I think going forward I will make the jacket up to the point where the complete lining is made and the complete outer jackets are made, and then before I sew them together I'll do the beading. And yeah, so because yeah, I really just, with these two where they're vest and separate sleeves, and the bleeding mushroom one, yeah, I'm really worried about the fraying as I bead, and it takes away from enjoying the actual beading process. So, and also you end up with lots of fray. So yeah, but I am very happy with this, so I shall continue beading. It's half done. I actually really like this half done aesthetic. I think it looks very punk rock. I have one plaid, which is slightly ridiculous given that I'm half English and half Scottish. I only own one tartan. But anyway, I thought I would make it up in a sort of punkish Vivienne Westwood way. And yeah, so I've got some spikes to go on it and some beads. And yeah, I'm just sort of, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking about how I will make a regular tartan jacket punkish. But yeah, this type of beading, where it's sort of very organic and half done, would be completely awesome. But now back to this jacket. So I have finished the other two, and this is all that's left. And oh, it's so heavy, this jacket. I mean, I love it, and I'm using up so many beads, but gosh, it's like weightlifting and also doing a really difficult craft at the same time. So it's, yeah, quite the experience. I'll show you the front. It is just so damn cool. And I sort of overcompensated. So now this was the one that was a bit sparser than that side. And now it's the opposite. This side has loads more big beads on it. But yeah, I could either just spend my life adding more beads to one side, then adding more beads to the other side, or I could just sort of be done with it. So I think I'll just fill in the obvious gaps and finish the back, and then yeah, it's Easter now, so I have been working on these jackets for so long, but oh my goodness, I am so proud of them. They are just awesome. I probably should just wait until the morning and shoot. But yeah, there was a sale on at Joann's, so I've bought some artificial flowers. So there will be a spring jacket that is floral. Flowers in springtime. I think we know what Miranda would say about that. But yeah, I shall finish off this beading now. So here we are again. As you can see, I have added a staggering amount of beading. I've got to have added at least 1,000 beads to this. And the difference between the two sides is incredibly pronounced. Oh my gosh. This is what you must not do. honestly, I should have just waited for or made a separate one that had 3 layers of backing. This only has 1 layer, and it's this netting that I don't particularly like, that's a little bit thinner than regular. Normally it wouldn't matter because it's only a tiny bit thinner, but this, oh my goodness. I think I'll just add a little bit more and even out this back bit, and then I think I might make a virtue out of the unevenness. I absolutely love this side, and what I think I will do with this arm, this sleeve, is add a lot more beading just to the top, and then with this sleeve I'll leave it as sparse as this side, but then just at the cuff on this side I'll sort of drown it in beads, as many as this, and that way, yeah, and it'll sort of creep up right to the elbow. And I think that way when you're wearing it, it will sort of, like, it'll look aesthetically balanced, and also the weight will literally be balanced as well. I just want an all over beaded jacket now, but I've got so many tweed jackets to finish. I think I should at least work on some of them before I do an all over beaded jacket. Oh, but it looks so pretty. I'm so happy with this section. And I love that the whole jacket is non-committal. It's like, yeah, whatever. We have a fabulous patch. What of it? Kind of reminds me of those trees you see where like in a forest, and there's one side of the tree that gets, you know, just a patch of sunlight regularly, and the rest of the tree looks incredibly scrappy. I love that. And because this was sort of inspired by that mushroom, yeah. Okay, I'm happy with that. I will do a little bit more beading on the one sleeve. Oh, I have to figure out my left from my right. Always a pain. And then, yeah, I'll do the cuff on the other one and even out the back a bit. Okay, the end is near. I can carry on now that I know that there is an actual end, and I'm not just going to be beading this thing for all eternity. Still, I mean, look at that side. You can't see the tweed, which is a bit of a shame. So that's why I'm quite glad to be leaving some of it open. Okay, I will do that. Okay, after yet more beading, I feel like I finally found the balance for this one. Obviously, I'm still going to have to do a lot once the sleeves are attached and once I've done the collar. But I added a lot to the cuff on the full side and a bit to the rest of it. And then with the other one, I added a lot. Just sort of, it's hard to see. It's up the back mostly, but also to the top and the bottom. And yeah, I also evened out the back bit. But I left some patches because I just really like that aesthetic. So yeah, and it is only 1 layer on the back, but if you've seen the plant walls, living walls, you know how they sort of plant them and they just sort of all miraculously stay up? It's the same type of thing with this. The bead is like the plant, and then the thread is sort of like the roots, and as long as you put them on in the correct way, then they all sort of help support each other. It's like weaving a new fabric on the back. So for the first few layers, they were double stitched on. Well, they're all double stitched on, but they were going up and down. So the first few layers are vertical, and then the other ones become more organic. So some of the threads sort of work their way up like that, and some of them go across. So there's sort of counter stress. And yeah, so I'm fine wearing this. It will support itself and it will age well. But yeah, it is still a lot of weight to leave hanging on, like just hanging in a wardrobe for decades on end. So yeah, if I'm going through a phase where I wear it once or twice a week, then I'll leave it in my wardrobe. But for the rest of the time, it will probably live in its own archive box. So yeah, quite happy with this. Now it is finally time, to set the sleeves on this jacket and on the silver one.
The sleeves have been pinned in. It is now time to machine sew them. So I have machine sewn them. Now what I have to do is turn them out and just inspect them. Just check that there's no puckering or no catches, and that the sleeves look good and that both sleeves match. Once I've checked that, time to turn them inside out again and stitch again to reinforce.
I have now sewn the sleeves into this one as well, and can I just say it was an absolute nightmare. My sewing machine has an automatic thread cutter, and all of these kept sort of catching on it. Oh my gosh, attaching sleeves is difficult at any time, but it was near impossible. So going forward, I would definitely set the sleeves, so sew the sleeves in before I do the beading, because the Baby Yoda one, doing that, I mean, it is difficult when the sleeves are already on, but not impossible. And attaching these was just downright dangerous. There are so many threads that almost got severed. It's ridiculous. And anyway, now that that's done, I just have to turn the jacket inside out again and stitch down the seam allowance. I've cut down the seam allowance under the arm and notched it. So yeah, now I just have to stitch that down, and once that's done, I will need to do the beading on those sleeves, which will take forever. Yeah, and I'll do the same on the silver jacket. The silver one is finished and looking absolutely adorable. Now I have to do the red one. But oh my gosh, this jacket is so heavy, and when you attach do the inside of the sleeves, you sort of have to turn right face to right side to right side. So you've got all the beading of here, all the beading of the arm, as well as all the beading of the back, and you're sort of working underneath them all, and all these beads just wanted to squish in together and get caught together. And then of course I had the thread as well, and it was absolute, and the weight of the whole thing. It was such a nightmare, but I have done these shoulders and they do look beautiful, but a little naked. So now I have to go over both of them and add more beading. Goodness me, so much beading, but I really am happy with the way this one turned out. I love it. And I forgot to say, when I'm beading the shoulder, I will sort of bead from the top right the way down, then sort of really secure it, then turn the thread round and do that. So I'll do lots. So there'll be a lot of strengthening of the torso to the sleeve, just because there's so much weight on here. I just want to give more strength to the whole of the shoulder. I did think about adding extra layers of backing inside, but I kind of want to see whether it works without adding extra layers. So I'll do it this way and just sort of might find a picture of the Patrick Blanc living walls, where they he figured out this way to plant all the plants so that their roots sort of interconnected and yeah, sort of strengthened the whole. So I'll see if I can find a little something about that, maybe link an article or something. And yeah, that's kind of the theory behind what I'm doing here. Okay, this is completely awesome. You would not believe how many beads went into this. I actually had to scrounge around and find more beads. Oh my goodness. I'll turn it around. Okay, it doesn't sit on the mannequin terribly well because the mannequin doesn't have arms, but there's a bit at the top and the back there that could do with more beads, but for now I really have to do the other side, and then when I see how much I have left over, I will do the back of this side. It took me about 10 or 15 years to collect all these beads, and it has not taken long to use a lot of them up on one jacket. So now this side is just as beaded, well, not quite, but yeah, this is awesome. I kind of want to do this front corner here, but I think I will leave it for now and put in the lining, because I still have to have enough beads to do all around the collar once I sew the lining and the outer jacket together. And I really do not have that many left. I forgot to show you the back. Isn't it adorable? I can't decide whether to fill this in a little bit more, but I kind of like it as it is. And I like actually being able to see the tweed. It's like the origin story. Okay, I have made the silk linings. The Italian silk with the floral design is for the mushroom. The cream one, champagne cream colored one, is for the Baby Yoda jacket. I was going to use green because, you know, Baby Yoda, but I've only got enough for one lining in really pale green, and I want to use that on a Chanel silk that I have, Chanel tweed I have, that's pale green and pink. And then for this one here, I was initially going to use pink silk for that, but I've decided to go with the green because I think of this one as the summer cottage garden, and so yeah, I've decided green is the best fit for that one. So now it's time to attach the linings to the jackets. First, you have to lay the jacket out on the workbench and make sure the arms are well in from the edges. And you just need to pin the edge of the silk to the edges of the tweed part of the jacket and sew with the machine. The lining and the outer jacket are all attached. Now it is time to sew the collar line. So I've pinned the neck all together with the right sides of the tweed and the lining are together. So we're sewing on the insides of the jacket here. So machine sew this.
Once that was done, I trimmed down the seam allowance, clipped the curves and turned it out, and I just put some pins in. I did this to all three, obviously, and I just put some pins in so I can see exactly where I need to do all the additional beading. So yeah, I just did this to all three, and yeah, now lots more beading to do. And earlier I was talking about those vertical walls of plants and how the roots held the plants up. This is what the back of the jacket looks like.
Well, that took forever, but the beading is sort of done. I mean, you can always add more beads to a jacket like this. This is all the beads that I have left. After pouring in bag after bag, scrounging around and finding more, that's pretty much all I have in these colours left. And I mean, look at that cuff. I can obviously fit more there. So I will put it on the dress form and see what it looks like. I'm so tempted to just keep going and use up every red and hot pink bead I have, but I have plenty of other jackets that could use them. So I think, and I've already used so much time on this jacket, so I think I'll just put it on the dress form and maybe leave it as it is. Okay, I know I'm not objective, but this is awesome. That is so cool. Okay, I'm going to stop applying beads to this one, at least for the moment. I'm very, very, very happy with this. And this is the back. Oh, I love the back. The aesthetic is gorgeous. And you can wear this with like red wide leg pants, pink, hot pink, or just dress it down with denim jeans and heel boots and a t-shirt, which is basically my uniform. This is so cool. I love it. Okay, I still have the other two to do. That is just the cutest. My fake grass. I bought that. It was on sale, one of those online sales, and I was hoping the back of it would be less, it's sort of like a rubber mat. I was hoping it would be more flimsy because it's meant to be a table runner, but it's not, because I want a fabric like that so I can make an actual English garden jacket with real fake grass. But all the stuff I can find, the AstroTurf I can find, has this rubber back which would be impossible to sew. So yeah, now it's just a prop. Anywho, the beading is complete on this one. Now I just have to do the top stitching. So I have to hand stitch around there, all the way up, stitching all the layers together, all the way around the back, and then down the front and along the first panel as well. So I will do that. Oh, actually I've got one more. I've got the Baby Yoda jacket to finish beading first. And I have finally finished the Baby Yoda one. Finished the beading. Now I just have to do the top stitching and on this one and on the others. The Baby Yoda jacket is done, and I've done the hem too. The Baby Yoda and the Summer Cottage Garden are both done. All the top stitching has been done, and I've sewn the hem done. There's just this one to go. Have to do the top stitching on this, which will be interesting with so many beads to avoid. This one is finally finished as well. Oh, thank goodness. I thought I would never get there. So here we are. The silver one finished. The Baby Yoda one is also done. And last but definitely not least, we have the red one. I cannot believe I spent so much time hiding the very tweed I was trying to make a jacket out of. But you really can see it on the back, and of course the inside front is still, you can see the actual tweed in there. So I'll show you the back. I really do like this back. I think it's lovely. And I'll just show you the top as well. Look at that beading. Nice. I've never made a jacket full of this many beads before, so yeah, gold star to me on the technique. Yeah. So I think we'll do one last group shot. Group shot. So there they are, the 3 very, very, very beaded jackets. I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you for watching.
And now I'm just going to do a little itty bitty close up on each of the jackets, because I invested so much of my time this past month in doing all the beading for these 3. I love the pink and red together. I love those 2 colors together just generally, but I think that one turned out really well. And the adorable bright green and aqua in this one, those colors always look good together. I'm glad I went with solid, tried and true color combinations for these, because if I'd gone with something a bit risky and it hadn't worked out, then I feel like there would have been not much beading in my future. But as it is, I think there will be a lot more beading in my future. So thank you again for watching, and goodbye.